This is a clip of me reviewing some hands I played live on Twitch. I'm using GTOwizard to review those hands. If you're interested in using GTOwizard, I have an affiliate link below. If you use that link, you will get 10% off. Enjoy the video. Familiar, this is an online solver with everything pre-solved. Alright, so let's look at this next spot here. This is the hand we just played, so this is what we'll go over first. We 4-bet, and then we see a lead, and I don't think there should ever be a lead, and then we see a jam. So let's see if we're right here. The solver might want to call off here, which is going to be a little annoying, because I don't think that's going to be our best play. Small blind 3-bets and whoops, and we see a7 does do some 4-betting here, so we go ahead and we 4-bet, and he called. Everything pretty standard so far, right? What I think isn't going to be standard is this lead, and I don't think we're going to be able to replicate. Oh, I'm wrong. He is allowed to lead, but for 3%. What am I supposed to do with this? The rest of this is probably just noise. Alright, let's see what did he lead for? What is that? 20% pot? So what is our ace-7 supposed to do here? Supposed to raise a lot. But we decided to call. And then the turn was... So here's the turn now. And there's no shoves. But if they do shove, ace-7's mixing, right? So I think anytime we see like a mix here, we can just go ahead and find a fold. So I think it's okay. I was surprised to see any leading here. Let's just see if the small blind checks, and then we bet our entire range, which I did think on king high boards in 4-bet pots. And we would have taken like a pretty small size. I don't think the solver kind of just chooses a bit of everything. So I think we would have just taken this 20%. Let's just see what happens if he shoves. I think if he shoves, we probably... He doesn't have very many shoves. But if he shoves, I imagine we call. Yeah, it's kind of sick. Let's see if he calls and then leads on this card. It's just leading for like so small. All right, it's a little unconventional, but I don't hate our fold. Yeah, I don't know. I think his most likely bluffs are going to be like things with fairly good equity, like hearts. So like ace queen of hearts. That still, like, even if we call off there, have decent equity, or would just beat to a king. Alright, so let's look at a couple of other spots we wanted to look at before. So we raise, and we get this board here. So, and then what happened? We bet, we get called, we go check, check. Why did I want to look at this? Did I want to? Oh, I wanted to see what we were doing on the turn. I wanted to see how often we were betting on the turn and what sizes we were using. So I said that I think we're going to check, mostly check or overbet. And that's just my simplification of my strategy there. I know there's going to be more sizes used, but I do want to see what happens like if we can find a generalization of how we might want to play. I imagine out of position here is almost always checking. And we took a bigger size. We took like 68%. And we see the solver take some of these overbets, which is very weird. Let's see if we go into the general or the basic. If we can get a slightly different response, because I'm not using an overbet on the flop. I just don't have that built into my strategy. So I imagine if the solver is overbetting, we do see, I mean, we still see some overbetting here, so we can just kind of slide, like in our mind, we can slide this overbets into this 73%. And the thing is like the bigger we go, right, the less often we bet, right? So this 25% is going to become like 35% when we slide it into this 73% pot bet. Like if we don't allow the solver to choose this size, so they'll be taking this size like 50% of the time. So we'll be betting here like 70% of the time instead of 60. Does that make sense? So we see ace 10 here does like the bigger size some of the time, so we're going to take that. And on the turn is really where we had a question about this hand. We called, and the turn was our question. It was the 8 of diamonds, right? When you get this check, taking a second. I know I'm in the 500 solutions, brother. We've always played so that... That has always been our thing. Even since 10 and L, we have always played like we were going to be at 200 and L. We don't play 50 and L strategy. Like, we do see this spot where the solver is pretty much... Like, this could be ignored. The solver is pretty much deciding to go for an overbet here or a check, right? This is a very blank turn. And generally, when like the nuts don't change, is when we can start to have overbets like this. So like, if the turn would have been like, let's say a jack or a king, well, maybe even a king, we'll look at this in a second, but if it would have been like a 10, a 3, 4, 5 maybe, in these positions not as much. Like, I don't think we see as many overbets, but I definitely think like a king, jack, or a 10, we don't see as many overbets. So we'll look at that in a second. We can see our hand is mixing here, but we are doing a fair bit of checking. And we can kind of see like the bottom of this value range is ace jack, where we're doing it pure. For some reason, ace 8 is finding overbets. Which, oh, it's 2 pair, I'm stupid. That makes sense. So the top of our 1 pair hands that are value betting are ace jack here. And then we have some of this stuff that's bluffing without. So we should probably find some of this, which I wasn't thinking about. We're also blocking like some of his best like blocking him from making 2 pair. So if we see a 6, I just want to see what these 8s are doing. They're all giving up. All right. All right, but let's look back. Let's see if I was correct. So the jack here instead. All right, there we go. I just want to see if we take as many overbets here. And my initial guess here is no. Komodo would have hit. He definitely runs a lot better than me. No, he's a beast. All right, so here's what I'm talking about, right? Look at how much. So now the nuts change, right? So now the nuts are the straight, right? Whereas before, like, the nuts would have been like basically ace queen, effectively aces, queens, ace eight, like all the strongest two pairs. But now when we see this nut changing turn, we get a lot less overbetting, right? And this is just something we see consistently over and over and over again. So, personally, I'm not too surprised to see this. So, that's... I don't know how deep I can go into explaining it, but that's essentially the idea, is like, if the nuts don't change on the turn, we have overbets. If they do start to change... Now, this is a very oversimplification, but that's like our first principle in the idea. Alright, so we're gonna move on to the last hand I think we had here. Now, I just wanted to look at that hand to see if we did have overbets. Now, let's just look at what size it likes for the river. Let me just make sure that we put this in correct. Ace 8, so we go check, check, and the river's the king of spades. We have a value bet. Oh, when he's leading this much, we definitely have a value bet. We can see how often ace 9 is supposed to lead here. And it's taking the small size almost always as a block. We can start to see ace 10 is ramping up a little bit. And that's based on how much ace 10, like all of this stuff we were betting on the previous street. So when we see the, I imagine we're going to have like a bet here for this size. The 78% size almost always. Yeah, okay, so it's taking the slightly smaller size, taking the 52%. But I think our rationale is probably fine. I took her out. It was a Friday night. Alright. Okay, so I forgot to show this on screen. Alright, so we have this spot where the under the gun player opens and we 3-bet, and I just decided to give up on this board, just thinking that ranges were going to be too tight, especially for me holding this hand. Having the spade here is like slightly advantageous, but the thing is I just don't know how much I'm really blocking, you know? Alright, so let's just take a look at that. I'll go back into the complex solution here. So we see under the gun open, and we 3-bet in the small blind. And we're not really, you know, we're a little deeper in this hand, but we're not really, actually, let's just take a look at what the under the gun's range looks like. So, there's just not, like having the 9 here is just not that relevant, you know? Like, I'm not really blocking any of these flushes, right? So, like, by not having a real flush blocker here, I think we just have a give up. I mean, it's just going to be pretty hard to play, I think. I'm not sure on this board what size we're supposed to have. So I'm going to be interested to see what we're supposed to continue with. Alright, so we were definitely betting the 9s more than I thought. And it's taking a very small size here. So I guess we should have been finding more bets, because I was thinking kind of a pure give up here. So I don't know. So this is where solvers can be tricky, right? I went back in to look at this in the basic solution, and when we give the solver far less sizes to choose from here on the flop, we can see that 9-9 is a give up, and this is what I was thinking initially. So when you are using solvers, do use caution and don't follow them blindly, and especially GTOwizard, which is a very advanced solver, to go back in and check maybe a simpler solution, because as you can see, when we take away those 1,000 sizes, right, we get a pure give up with 9-9. For some reason, 8-8 is betting 7-7-6-6. I'm guessing they need more protection, but 9-9 again, just kind of a pure give up here. I imagine if we bet, we're just giving up all the turns though. Let's go like 17%. And then we'll just put a blank turn out there, and then we'll put like the deuce of spades out there as well, and we'll see what we get. So we get a call, and we're going to look at the blankiest of blank turns and see what we're doing with the pocket nines. Nines are just giving up. Some of the nines without a spade, and I don't imagine with the spade it's really going to change all that much. I think the nines are just a give up after we bet them. I mean, they're betting more with the spade. I mean, 75% of the time. Okay. And then what are we going to do on like a blank river? We're going to just go for it. Let's just see what a blank river gets us. Let's go with the 6 of hearts. I imagine they're just going to follow through. We're going to see how bad I am. Nope, they don't. But 8s with the 8 of spade do. Like, the solvers are weird, man. Why does it choose the 8s here instead? I don't know. I really have no idea. I'd have to go back and forth between the ranges. Alright. I stream poker on Twitch. In the description box below is a link to my page. Follow me there to know when I go live. Also remember to like and subscribe.